Hey everyone, Brent Insider here. How are you? Thanks so much for joining me and welcome to a run through of my Scorpions CD collection. The band formed all the way back in 1965, though they didn't release their debut album until 1972, and they put out their 19th studio album in 2022 with Rock Believer, so a 50-year recording career. Though this year in 2025, the band is celebrating 60 years with a brand new compilation from the first Sting, and I thought it'd be a cool time to run through my entire 44 CD Scorpions collection. So we're gonna get into that here in just a bit. But before we start, if you're new to my channel and haven't already hit the subscribe button, please do. Also leave a comment, hit like. All those things do help support my channel. I'd greatly appreciate it. And of course, as an added bonus, by turning on notifications, you'll never miss an episode and stay up to date on really cool things like this, where I'm running through my Scorpions CD collection. And man, what a band the Scorpions are. I've seen them several times. I've loved them every time I've seen them. They've had a lot of different eras, and I've loved all the different eras of the band as well. And so we are going to kick off. We're going to go chronologically through this and start with their 1972 album, Lonesome Crow, the album that actually features a very young 16-year-old Michael Schenker on guitar. He only did the one album here before leaving and going off and doing UFO and MSG. He does make a brief return to the band, but doesn't stick around too long, though this kicks off the band in fine fashion. A little different than the stuff that would be coming later, a little bit more on that progressive rock side than what we know and love them for in the 80s, but it was a great start to the band itself. So moving on, the band released Fly to the Rainbow, 1974, featuring Uli Jon Roth on guitar, creating really their second era, but sort of their first major era of the band. They're going to record in all 4 studio albums with him, and so it really kind of sets up the band, and it gives the band a good foundation. This album here I've always enjoyed, especially with the opening track. Speedy's Coming is a great song that sounds like later day era Scorpion stuff, even though again the album, goes off into some other territory and whatnot. But even on these early albums, if you've never checked out the 70s era Scorpions, there's a lot to love there, even if you only know or like the sounds of the 80s. Now, before I got this jewel case edition of it, I actually had a Japanese copy import because it was the only way I could get a hold of this album. So I do have this in the collection, but once I found the jewel case edition, I opt for that. It's just easier to open and get to and all that sort of stuff. All right, moving on to their third studio album, In Trance, 1975. I fell in love with the title track from this from a later live album in 93 called Live Bites, which I'll show you when we get to that time frame. But they do this song In Trance, and I didn't know what that was or where it came from, and to find out it was this older 70s era stuff going back to 1975 immediately made me want to take note and check this stuff out. And again, there's a lot of great stuff on this album, Top of the Bill being one of them. That turns up on the new From the First Sting compilation, along with the song In Trance. And so this one, this paper sleeve edition, comes from this 3 albums collection type thing, being at the time the only way to get these 2. And while later versions of Virgin Killer would become available, In Trance I've still never been able to get any other way than this inside the box as this paper sleeve. So it is the only copy version I have. One day I'd like to find a jewel case edition of it, or hopefully get a remastered edition. Maybe now that the band is turning 60, we will see that, who knows. Moving on though to 1976 Virgin Killer with the alternative album art, the other album art that has the naked, very young girl on the cover of it with the broken glass over her hoo-ha. It was, I guess, later deemed to be in poor taste, and we don't ever see that anymore. So this is the version of that. Still an absolute great album. Pictured Life kicks this thing off along with Catch Your Train. So many good songs on this one here. If you're going to go for any one Uli Jon Roth album, I would recommend Virgin Killer to be the one to pick up. Though probably the easiest one to get a hold of is Taken by Force. This one is from 1977, kicking off with Steam Rock Fever. Not my particular favorite song of the Uli era, but a lot of people do like it, and it seemed to be a big single for them. There's other great stuff on here like We'll Burn the Sky. Sails of Charon is a big one. That one is one that appears on From the First Sting compilation, which is a great compilation to pick up, again, if you're looking to explore equally the Uli Jon Roth and the later heyday stuff. I'll talk a little bit more about it when we get to it. But this one here, also not the original album cover, and they did reissue this one, remastering it, and there's the original album cover or alternate album cover. Why we have the two different ones, not really sure what the issue was. Though this is probably a more classic defining album cover, just the way that it's done in stark black with their photos like that, versus this here. This one being the remastered bonus track edition, having on it a total of, 6 bonus tracks added to the already 8 songs on it. So 16 or 14 tracks total on this thing in all. Very, very cool collection. All of those remastered editions that you'll see that have these white spines on them. This was 2015 when that came out. I don't know if all of them are 2015, but we'll check as I come across them. All right, now in terms of the pantheon of live albums, Scorpions' Tokyo Tapes is one of those albums that often gets talked about as one of the best live albums ever released. This is a single disc edition of the album, and I believe they do cut one song from it to make it a single CD edition, and that one extra track turns up. I'm trying to think if it turns up on what we were just looking at over here, or if it turns up on another album, but I don't actually see a live version on here, so I guess it's not on this. But that one track, and I want to say it's called Polar Nights or something like that, turns up on one of their other releases. So you get it that way at least. It's not entirely lost. I love single disc live albums, so I actually prefer it this way, though I don't like that it is an edited version of the original to make it work. That was a Hippo Records reissue, and one of the only ways to get a hold of it, at least. It wasn't even reissued as part of the 2015 remaster series that they did. So I think this is the only way to get it right now. And again, when I picked it up at that time, it was the only way that I could get a hold of it. All right, so we get our first Best of Scorpions collection, though this is the period from earlier on, from the debut album up through the Uli Jon Roth era and the album that we just looked at, Taken by Force. But a lot of people would get confused seeing collections like this, because starting on the next album, the band really starts to break through, and then the difference in sound between Love Drive, which was voted album cover of the year that year by Playboy, wonder why. This one here, 1979, perfect album cover for that era. Again, we've got the remastered stuff. This one here has a bonus live DVD from 79 live in Japan, and it also includes a documentary on it. The documentary itself, 45 minutes long, and you get a full live complete concert, plus you get 2 bonus tracks on it. So they really did these remasters justice. And so original album art here, because Love Drive regular US edition does not look like that. So I like getting the original album art whenever possible. Animal Magnetism 1980, again, remastered edition, single CD, but a ton of bonus tracks on it. Again, we're getting 6 bonus tracks on this thing, the 9 tracks original plus 6 for 15. And they do a lot of cool, there's usually some outtakes on these and alternate versions and demos, making it worthwhile. Some of the later albums have lots of unreleased songs, including some songs that would later get re-recorded down the road on the last few albums, which was pretty cool. Next up 1982's Blackout with that iconic album cover. Again, this is one of those 2015 remasters. I've been checking the years on the back, so I do believe they released all of that remaster series the same year. Don't remember if they came out all together or they did it in groupings. Sometimes they drop 2 or 3 albums at a time. So we get the 9 tracks original. We get 4 bonus tracks on the album itself. We get songs like Sugar Man, a demo song, and running for the plane, neither of which appear on the album. So you get these 2 demo songs that have not been recorded, which are cool. You get a DVD, Rock Pop in Concert 1983. You get 2 music videos and a 43-minute documentary included. Lots of cool stuff like that. I don't know why they didn't do the whole catalog at the time. They only did that very late 70s and early 80s era of the band. We do move on to their biggest album, Love at First Sting. This is just the regular standard remastered jewel case edition, but I do have a copy of it in the 2015, and this is a 3-disc edition of it. So you get the original 9-track album, you get 5 bonus tracks on here, you get Live at Madison Square Garden in 1984 on a CD, then you get a bonus DVD with 4 music videos, and then you get 4 TV appearances, and you get a 36-minute documentary. So for their biggest album, a triple disc release. Very awesome. Now, kind of surprisingly, at this point, we get Best of Scorpions Volume 2, but this one here is in tandem to the Best of Scorpions Volume 1. So again, this is that Uli Jon Roth early era. It does not include any of those recent albums from their heyday that I talked about. So these 2 go together. Quite sure that it threw a lot of people off. It probably even to this day, if they run across it, there's people who pick it up that don't know song names, thinking they're going to get songs like Blackout, Big City Nights, Rock You Like a Hurricane, and of course, it's not on there. So up until this point, the Scorpions had not released one of their heyday era. That's coming down the road in a little bit. But what we got before that was Worldwide Live. And this is a 15-track, single-disc live album that had more tracks available, but this is how it was available in the US as a single-disc edition. Though we get this version of it, the remastered 2015, that has 19 tracks on it. So 15 tracks, really 19 tracks, full length added in. So you're getting 4 bonus tracks, beefing this one up. But then we also get the Worldwide Live concert video, and we get a documentary, live show features, some bonus stuff on here, 61 minutes, 56 seconds of that, and a documentary of the story of Worldwide Live. Only 20 minutes, but cool that they added that on here. So awesome to get that as well. I still like my single disc, the original one, best. Then we get my favorite Scorpions album, and I know this one here is not most people's favorite, but I love Savage Amusement from 1988. We get songs like Rhythm of Love, Passion Rules the Game, Don't Stop at the Top, Believe in Love. I love all those. Very, very 80s sounding album. I understand why maybe it's not people's favorites, but I love it. So this is the 2015 remastered. We get the DVD that came out around the same time called To Russia with Love and Other Savage Amusements. We get music videos, 4 of them on here, including I Can't Explain, which is a song that would turn up on their first Best Of compilation from the heyday era. And we get another documentary, 26 minutes long. Also on here, we get 6 bonus tracks on here. Taste of Love. We get Edge of Time, which would later get re-recorded. I believe it's on the Live Bites album. Fast and Furious, Dancing in the Moonlight, which would turn up on Return to Forever. Living for Tomorrow, Forget, I think that one's turned up somewhere, and I Can't Explain now appears as a bonus track on here. But this is one of those ones that actually has 6 studio songs on it that are not on the album. So when you listen to this and you get the 9 songs that are the album, it just keeps on going with 6 more songs, giving you a total of 15 tracks on here. So I absolutely love this one even more, but also hearing those early versions of songs that would later get re-recorded as an official releases later on down the road. Now, this is the first official best of compilation of the band's heyday era best of rockers and ballads, and it does have that song I Can't Explain, which was from it was a tribute album to rockers that had fallen, who had died due to drugs and alcohol. So as to raise awareness to not do drugs kind of thing. And that song would be put on this compilation, but it was taken from that Stairway to Heaven, Highway to Hell, I think it was called. And so you get, let's see, 12 tracks on here, and it does cover only the big era. It does not go into the Uli Jon Roth period at all. So being the Mercury Records era, because the defining division is that they were on RCA Records for the whole early period of the 70s up until they would switch over and do Love Drive in 79, and they were on Mercury Records. So this is a Mercury Records compilation versus those other 2 that are RCA Records that you've already seen. Now, the band would return with arguably their biggest album, being Crazy World. And the reason I say that is because it includes the ballad Wind of Change, which went to number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100 in the US, but went number 1 in 14 countries around the world. Still, we had huge rock songs off of this, like Don't Believe Her, Tease Me, Please Me, Hit Between the Eyes, as well as Send Me an Angel. So, big album, 5 singles, 5 videos released from this thing. I think it only did 2 million only. It did 2 million in sales, and I think Love at First Sting has done more sales overall in its longer period of release and everything, having the big hits that it has, but having Wind of Change certainly making that a big album. All right, we get another Uli Jon Roth or 70s era collection, the best of the ballads, hot and slow, 12 tracks. It's not really all love songs, it's just slower paced songs. We get songs like In Trance, which is a great mid-paced rocker on here. This is a really cool collection of songs. I have found that a lot of these early collections I've really enjoyed because they shone a light on different songs that I wouldn't normally be listening to or thinking about. And because I didn't grow up with those 70s era albums, these have helped make some of those songs stand out. Now when I go back and I listen to the albums like In Trance, Fly to the Rainbow, the different Virgin Killer, Taken by Force, songs are jumping out at me as songs that would be like if I heard them on the radio, but I didn't grow up with them on the radio. So I'm sort of getting that experience through these compilations. And I just love having them at, at different times when I want more Scorpions and there's no Scorpions to get. And I come across a compilation like this, I like to pick it up and I enjoy it for what it is for a few days. And it gives me something to digest that is new and have. And then I move on from it. But there's some of these that I go back to. And case in point being this next one, that as soon as I found out about this one here, it's just simply called Still Loving You. It's a Scorpions collection from 1992. And this one here having all of the later day era stuff, but it's got a lot of lesser known stuff. And I don't know if it's like the first 7 tracks or not, but I do believe that a number of these, it says right on the front, 9 of the songs are remixed. So I don't know why they did that. They have a live version of the song Living for Tomorrow, which is unreleased. 9 of the tracks are remixed, and you get a total of 11 songs on here. And so it just made it need to be something that I wanted to have because they're remixes and they're not the album versions. And I thought that was very cool to be getting that. European compilation 1992. It is covering the heyday era of the band, so it's the biggest popular period, though they choose a lot of the songs that you wouldn't expect, and most of those being ballads on there. 1993, the band returns with Face the Heat, very much in the same vein as Crazy World, but of course the musical climate had changed, and this did well for the band, but of course didn't break down any doors the way that Crazy World did. So we get the big rocker Alienation, a big sort of down-tuned, heavy song, but I love the tracks like No Pain, No Gain, Someone to Touch, Under the Same Sun, Woman, lots and lots of great stuff on here that's just as good as anything off of the Crazy World album, but it came out in 1993. I still pull that one out. And then Live Bites. I've talked about this a couple times. This was 1993, I believe. No, actually 1995. And we kick off with later day songs. A lot of the songs off of here do not appear on Worldwide Live. And so we get Tease Me, Please Me, Is There Anybody There, Rhythm of Love, In Trance. That's where I first heard that song. No Pain, No Gain. So No Pain, No Gain, hearing that on here made me want to go get this. I did not have this at that time. I kind of had not thought too highly of it because of the song Alienation. But hearing it on here, this album basically turned me into a big time Scorpions fan because of hearing In Trance, having No Pain, No Gain, and then having songs like Crazy World, which I wouldn't have expected, which turned out to be a really great self-titled cut that's just great live. But we also get End of Time, Heroes Don't Cry, and White Dove. 3 new studio songs on here, and I think it was the song Heroes Don't Cry, maybe it was Edge of Time, I can't recall, that was on 88's, oh my goodness, there's a Savage Amusement from 88, turning up as a recording down here. So that was very cool. We get 1996, Pure Instinct, and this being a band album cover. I mean, this is Atlantic Records in the US, but certain stores wouldn't cover it, and so they changed it to that as the album cover. That being because you can see the woman's breast between the bars inside there, but it's typical Scorpions. They have a lot of that on their album covers. It's 1980s mentality of the band. I think it fits perfect with who they are and what they're trying to represent, and the fact that they're calling it Pure Instinct, and it's the humans that are in a cage and the animals staring at them. And why would the humans be wearing anything? Animals don't wear clothes. So I also get it. All of the entire family that's in there, the 4 members, are all naked. So it does fit contextually, and I think it rightly so represents what they were trying to bring across. Aside from all that, this has some killer tracks on it. Wild Child, Stone in My Shoe. The song You and I ends up getting the most recognition and turning up on compilations and things, but there's so many great rockers on this thing. Real cool return to form album after Face the Heat, which was that heavier down-tuned style. That was great. And while they did that, then they immediately make a left turn with Eye to Eye, working in sound samples, drum loops, backbeats and stuff. And there's some good stuff to love about the album, but in all, it's not an album I return to all that often. I remember when it came out, really trying to get into it and love it. The first single, To Be Number One, was just a really sort of cheesy keyboard drum sample type song, and it's the worst one on here in my opinion. And if they would take that one off, the album would probably have done a lot better. I don't really know why they released that. I also don't know why we get 3 of them on the front cover like that and the other 2 of them on the back cover like that. Then we see all 5 together, but kind of weird the way they chose to do that. Still not an entirely bad album, totally of the 90s though. 1999, we get Scorpions Best. This is the first time that there is a collection covering both their 70s era and the 80s and early 90s heyday era of the band. It's on EMI Records, who I guess own the rights to the whole catalog at this point or could do it. And it's not chronological, so it's all mixed up on here, but you do get songs like In Trance, and you get I'm Going Mad from the debut album in 72. You get He's a Woman, She's a Man. You also get one unreleased song, Love is Blind, included on here. And you get stuff from, all of the heyday era, Rock You Like a Hurricane, Loving You Sunday Morning, all that sort of stuff. So this was a very cool thing. Import, I ended up picking it up around 1999 because it was the first sort of most comprehensive collection that they had done. All right, I think it's 2000 by this point, and we get the Scorpions with the Berlin Philharmonic, Moment of Glory. So it is a studio album recorded with an orchestra. Recording with the orchestra was all the rage at this time. It's a very silly album cover. Not quite sure why they have the dinosaur with the jewels. Maybe they're just saying, as the band, they are a dinosaur band being she-sheed up with some jewels with an orchestra. Don't know. It's interesting, though. And I'm pretty sure this was not released domestically, meaning here in the US, at least not right away. Again, EMI Records put this out. I imported my copy of it, and it does have a new version of Hurricane. It's Hurricane 2000. There's a few new songs on here like Moment of Glory. They do a couple instrumentals on here, Crossfire and Deadly Sting Sweet. But all in all, it was an interesting album to hear the band record with an orchestra. Now, 1 year later, 2001, they put out Acoustica. So what is this? It's an acoustic album from the Scorpions, and we've got them doing a few new songs on here too. You get a cover of Dust in the Wind. You get them doing an old Uli Jon Roth song with Catch Your Train. They have the song, I Wanted to Cry, but the Tears Wouldn't Come. They do a cover of The Cars Drive. And the new song that was off of here, When Love Kills Love. And that's a song that, while on here, was also an older song, too, that they brought out, dusted off for this. I think it's one of the demos. It's on one of those remastered 2015 ones. But you get a cool version of this. There would be some studio versions of these recorded too. I think the song Love Kills Love was released as a studio version CD single, but this is a live album, which is very good with those covers. And then they do Hurricane 2001, another new version of Rock You Like a Hurricane on that. Okay, we then get Bad for Good, the very best of the Scorpions, 18 tracks, probably the most comprehensive at this point, but still not putting anything from that RCA, Uli Jon Roth era. It's not quite chronological, but almost. It kicks off with Rock You Like a Hurricane, but that's 1984. And then it immediately jumps back to 1979, Loving You Sunday Morning, The Zoo, No One Like You, Blackout, and so forth and so on. It does have the song Alienation from Face the Heat, so we do get that. Then it jumps forward almost a decade, because this is a 2002 compilation, and that was 1993, I think. And we had two brand new songs, though, 'Cause I Love You and Bad for Good, which are really classic sounding. So you get all of those amazing hits on here, plus two new songs, which are very much in the vein of that. It's probably the best single disc collection the band has ever done of the hits. Now this is, I think, a year on in 2003, we get Scorpions Ballads, and this is 15 tracks of ballads, kicking off with You and I. I talked about how Pure Instinct, that one song, is the one that would turn up on a number of things. It's recorded as an acoustic version here. It turns up on this ballads compilation. Again, this is another EMI Records release. So we get also a DVD, and we get 5 songs from Moment of Glory, the Berlin Philharmonic live performance, of which I already had a copy of that. So it didn't make much sense to be getting it in here, but I wanted it just as a new compilation. So I have that in the collection. And then 2004, 1 year on from that, we get Box of Scorpions, this being a worldwide thing. It's a Hippo Records release covering the Mercury. It's part of Mercury, but it actually goes all the way back to disc 1. So this is the most comprehensive 3-disc collection because it does start with Lonesome Crow in 72, covering all of that stuff, then going through all the way up through the Moment of Glory, the recording with the orchestra, and it also has those 2 new songs from the Bad for Good compilation, 'Cause I Love You and Bad for Good on here. So it really does cover everything from 72 all the way up through that 2002, making it a nice 30-year collection of the band. And it's kind of cool that we get that full complete period the way that we are now, covering the 50 years from 72 to 2022 recording era. All right, so now the band would return in 2004 again later that year with a great return to form album called Unbreakable. Fantastic album. The band would seem to do this where they would veer off and do something else, like they were doing the orchestra albums, the acoustic albums, all that stuff, and then finally coming back and doing a return to form album after Eye to Eye. They come back now, they do this great return to form album, but then in 2007 we get Humanity Hour 1, and this one here has the band really not sounding much like itself, trying something new, though they brought in Desmond Child, who was totally a producer of the 80s, co-writer for lots of big bands in the 80s like Bon Jovi, Alice Cooper, probably did co-write some stuff for Scorpions back in the day, but we don't get the stuff sounding like that. So for me at least, this was a big letdown. This one here is a bonus DVD version that has behind the scenes interviews. We get an extra audio track, Cold, and a photo gallery on here. I know a lot of you guys like that album a lot, but I was expecting it to sound like the 1980s, and it did not. And then we get the band again doing return to form, Sting in the Tail, and Sting in the Tail was 2010. And at the time when this came out, the band said, that's it. We're going out on a high note. We are going to retire. And they went out on a farewell tour. And I think they were intending to hang it up around 2012, 13. They went on tour for a number of years. Good news, this wasn't the final album, but a lot of great stuff on there. They did put out in 2011 a double live album. And also that year we got Come Black, which was a play on Come Back. Don't really know why it's called that. And it's got some re-recorded songs, classics, as well as some cover songs. So half re-recorded, half covers, 13 songs. It's a cool little tide me over at the time. That Come Black was, again, an import only. This one is on Sony Music. Took it some time, I think, before it got a US release. All right, in 2000, I was going to say, I think it's 2011, but I could be wrong. The band does, let's see, which one am I going to show you first? We'll start with this one. MTV Unplugged in Athens, 2 CDs, live. I thought that was the way that it came. I want to say this might have been the US edition of it, and I got this, and then somewhere down the road, I found this one by accident, like at a Best Buy, and it is a single CD, but with a DVD of the performance. And I didn't have an opportunity to get the DVD with this one, so I then got a single disc edition of it with the full version on DVD. So I've got 2 versions in the collection. And again, I've mentioned it before, I tend to like single disc editions better. So I was much happier with that, and it was a great find. And around this same time, because the band is hanging it up, and there was just a lot of love and outpouring and everything for the Scorpions, I think that's why Uli Jon Roth decided to go back and revisit his era of the band And he did this, Scorpions Revisited, a 2 CD re-recording of his time with the band. And so even though not technically a Scorpions album, because it is him, it's paying tribute to the Scorpions. It's all Scorpions material. I wanted to show this to you guys, and it is a fantastic album. The singer, I think his name is Nathan James, really great, powerful vocalist. Doesn't sound at all like Klaus Meine, but really does those songs justice. He was singing. They would later record a live album and DVD release. I do have that too floating around somewhere, but that double live album or double studio album is very, very good. So in the end of the day, the band decides not to hang it up. They return in 2015. This now being the, I guess this would have been the 50th anniversary officially, because 65 to 2015, and do Return to Forever. And they put out this album, which had 12 tracks, but various versions were getting released that would have a few bonus tracks here and a few bonus tracks here. And I finally found one that had 7 bonus tracks added to it as the definitive version. Might have been an import version, can't remember, but I picked it up. And so, and they're all studio songs. And so on here, Dancing with the Moonlight being one of those songs that I think was from the 1988 Animal Magnetism album. But we get a lot of cool tracks on here. One of the best songs that's on here is the song Delirious, and it's just a bonus track, and it was one of the last ones added. It wasn't even one of the upfront ones that they did early on. It was sort of like, oh, we're going to do a new version of the album. Let's add another bonus track. Oh, we're going to do another new version of the album. Let's add another bonus track. And it was the last one that was added in some new round. And finally, like I said, I found one that had all of the tracks on it. So that's the one in my collection. We would get a new compilation in 2017, Born to Touch Your Feelings, which really covered all of the sort of ballads and things of the band, though there's some new tracks on here and some re-recordings on this as well, making it kind of worthwhile to get. Though I'm not a big just love ballads type thing, and it moves a little slow for me. Doesn't really have a good flow. So what I was really excited for up front hadn't turned out to really be the good compilation that I thought it might be. And then in 2022, 50 years on from the debut, we get Rock Believer. And this is another one of those ones where we get the 11-track album, but we get a 2 CD edition being released with 5 bonus tracks. We get 5 more versions of song, or we get 4 additional studio songs not on the album, and we get a new version of When You Know Where You Come From, an acoustic version added on. So a cool EP added to it, but a nice way to celebrate the band's 50-year recording career. And then only 3 years on now, 2025, we are getting From the First Sting, the first career-spanning recorded collection from 72 all the way up to 2022, from their debut Lonesome Crow all the way up to Rock Believer. Even though it cuts out some middle period stuff that's in there, we get a huge chunk out of the 70s, a huge chunk from the 80s heyday, and then we get 2 songs from later day period stuff, one off of Humanity and one off of Rock Believer. But a very good collection. I have done a full review of this. If you're interested, I'm going to leave the link in the description. You can check it out in more detail. But there you go. That is my 44 CD Scorpions music collection. I hope you've enjoyed this run through. What is your favorite Scorpions album? What is your favorite maybe rare album that you've got, or import album, something that you couldn't get readily available where you are that is a cool little gem for you? As you saw, I've got a number of those in my collection. I'm curious which one is your favorite. All right, everyone, take care, have a good one, and I'll talk to you real soon.